Donovan Mitchell looks like he re-aggravated his ankle sprain, like I said. I was pretty confident. I didn't want to rule Kawhi out because we saw him go down 2-0 and come back and obviously win the series. The Clippers lost the first 2 games on the road, coming back home. I didn't want to count him out, but the Jazz looked really good, and they looked good last night, and then Mitchell got hurt. Now I don't really know what to think of them.
Yeah, it was a huge win, and it was a confidence changer, especially for a guy like, let's face it, like Paul George is not a guy that's like
Yeah.
that mentally like tough. Like these words do affect him, and these praise do affect him, and he just had a 31-point game where he shot crazy from like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So with this confidence, can we see like regular season Paul George? And if he's averaging 25, with Kawhi Leonard still doing his things and averaging like crazy amount of points and like just impact, and then you have Nick Batum and Reggie Jackson. If one of those guys can always be that 15-point scorer, this Clippers team just looks so much different than what they did in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I when we talked Clippers going into the playoffs and everything, even going to the series, like Reggie Jackson didn't even cross my mind as a factor, and he's like their 3rd best player maybe in this. Like he's scoring 18 a game. He's one of their best shooters. Batum, like you said, has been amazing. But yeah, Kawhi didn't have a great game until like the second half, fourth quarter yesterday. Paul George finally stepped it up. The Clippers, I don't know, like I think this is something you've brought up, like defensively. I don't think Paul George can guard a Mitchell type anymore. Like maybe he's more suited to guarding like power forwards, bigger guys. But if Mitchell's not 100% and he's doesn't have that explosiveness to rise up and shoot whenever he wants, if he's not comfortable, driving to the rim and stuff like that, the Clippers I might have to go Clippers in this series.
Yeah, and this is kind of exactly like that series because there's 2 guys that are in the backcourt that kind of hold the keys to this because if Mike Conley returns at like 80% and Donovan Mitchell plays at like 85, 90%, then I think most people would have the Jazz winning the series. But if those guys are going to come back and play, like they are. Like Mike Conley's coming back next game, Donovan Mitchell's coming back. But if they play at like 70 to 60% and are kind of detrimental to the team, then we're obviously going to see the Clippers winning the series. Because if Donovan Mitchell loses that first step speed and that first step explosiveness, what we just said about Paul George and Kawhi kind of struggling to guard him is gone. Like they're going to dominate him, and it's going to be really tough. So yeah, man, like it's all about injuries. Kind of sucks to say, but it depends on what percentage Mitchell and Conley play at.
Yeah, exactly. Because Mitchell with a guy like who's that his height 6'2", he needs every bit of that explosiveness because like he can't just make up for it with his size, right? So if he's 80% as explosive, Paul George can stay in front of him, like you said. Even a Batum can probably spend some time on him. But something that has kind of surprised me pleasantly in this series is Rudy Gobert has not been getting exposed on switches. He's been moving his feet, guarding out on the perimeter, and he hasn't picked up fouls. He hasn't fouled out of a game, I think. And he's been really good defensively. Offensively, he hasn't really done anything, but he has not been exposed like we predicted. Maybe a little bit in game 1, but since then, not too much.
Yeah, like that game-winning block and like that great like fourth quarter performance in game 1 kind of just switched Rudy Gobert's. Like I don't know what happened to him. Like he's just so much better like as a defender. Obviously, excluding the last game, but he's been good. He's been staying in front of his guys. He's looking like a defensive player of the year. Donovan Mitchell has more points than minutes played this playoffs.
Yeah.
So that just proves how crazy it is. It's the best ratio, like points to minutes. So he's absolutely wild in this playoff series. Jordan Clarkson has to step up a little bit more, but obviously when he gets another bench buddy in Joel Ingles to help alleviate some of that bench scoring when Conley returns is going to be huge. And I think we just got to congratulate the Jazz. Like being up 2-1 with Mike Conley sitting out 3 games is a good, it's a good outcome. So with Mike Conley coming back, this could be like a 5-game series if they're healthy.
Yeah. I think 100%. The game 4 in LA is obviously a huge game. They said Mike Conley was hopeful for game 3. Yeah. So I'm kind of assuming that he's going to be playing game 4, which is really pivotal. I think he has, even if he's not like, if he's 80%, he has to come back to kind of make up for some of that Mitchell injury. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms and follow us on Instagram.